Hello, my name is Nicholas Vesely, and this is my sprint review for week 5 of Pro 211.0, the Student Innovation Project 1 Design Prototype course at UAT. As you can see on my screen, I have basically begun actually making the installer. I've got the first frame done, and then once I've got, which typically I think takes the longest, and then once you have this frame, you can sort of go about making other frames using your code and what's there. So hopefully, as we get into the next course, I feel like I'll be able to pound out the other frames quite quickly. So basically, this week I worked on just this frame. I needed to procure more images for the buttons. The buttons were not working the way I wanted to. If you use the buttons that come with the with Visual Studio, they don't look very intuitive. And part of my design prototype said to make sure that this button was highlighted, essentially like the most common button was highlighted to help guide the user further and quicker and more efficiently. And that's one of the things that I wanted to make sure I got. But every time I tried using a default button and tried changing the color, it didn't look right. So I had to do some research and figure out what I was doing, so that took some time. I also procured different custom fonts to meet my design prototype. So when I did the design prototype, I said the best kind of installers are the ones that have different colored fonts. They seem to look better. They also have different kinds of images, and I'm still looking for more images. It's not easy to find free fonts and free images that are high quality and are up to standards. So it takes a little bit of time, but I'm getting through it slowly, as you can see. And then I had to integrate the button images. Like I said, that took some time. It wasn't. I had to go through and look up exactly what I was looking for because C# isn't one of my forefront languages, especially making forms in them. So I also had to do the integration of the text. So the text that you see here, getting that all up there, getting it the way I wanted it, formatted properly. That took some time. I also had to search and implement a borderless window system. So I'll go ahead and start my application, my installer, and as you can see, um, it's actually borderless. And what happens when you do that is you lose your minimization and your close features. So I have to implement those, and I had to get buttons for them and get them to work properly, and that took a little bit of time figuring out exactly how to do that. And then once you've got the borderless part, I also spent time getting a dragging window function. So normally you'd have to click on the border and you'd have to drag it the way you wanted it, but mine doesn't actually do that. Mine, I had to implement a way of moving the actual window by just clicking with the mouse, essentially. And as you can see, you have to click anywhere that isn't essentially text, which is normal. That's good. I like it that way. Or button, essentially, or one of the close features. And then I had to implement the closing feature like that. That closes the window. I'm opening it back in. This one minimizes it, implementing that. So it looks good now. And then I also did graphic editing. I'll go ahead and open my SIP folder right here. Implementation. Open that. Implementation resources. So here's all the resources. Like I said, I had to find some, and then I also had to edit them. So like the banner is essentially this. I had to crop it just the right way and size the window form correctly. I also had to add this gray background, and I had to make it transparent as well on there. So I'm not very good with graphic editing, but I thought it was important, so I took some time and made sure that it looked really good. And I think it came out pretty well. I still got to put an icon up, as you can see down here. That's another thing that I needed, more actual images, so it just takes time finding all that. And then obviously coding and debugging on the inside the actual code, working with setting buttons and just trying to see how I looked into archives and how to pull out the archive files and manipulate them a little bit as well, so that took some time. But in general, it looks like it's coming along. I'm quite happy with it. I need more images. I looked for an arrow. Can't actually find a decent sized arrow that would move this way like nicely when you're going one by one. But I've got all the steps there to set it up the way that my design prototype has it set up. I mean, the key features of my design prototype was a borderless window, being able to move it like this, essentially, like I have. So I've integrated that, having different fonts, different colored buttons that are highlighted. So then the most common button that you hit would be the one that's colored correctly and it looks different. So it's coming together. I'm quite happy with it, and I look forward to working on it further in the next course. Thank you for your time. I'm going to leave it at that, and goodbye.